obviously Lamborghini, but as Lamborghini is owned by the Volkswagen Corporation, this Audi R8 and the Lamborghini Huracan share a whole bunch of different similarities. Their entire platform is basically the same, despite the Audi R8 V10 being significantly less expensive than the Huracan. Now, this version of the Audi R8 is rear-wheel drive as opposed to all-wheel drive, and it's not the R8 V10 performance. It's the normal V10, and the normal V10 here only has 532 horsepower as opposed to 610 that the Lamborghini Huracan has. And I believe the Audi R8 V10 performance is something like 602. It's much closer to the Lamborghini Huracan. But very nice car. The performance adds a larger wing on the back here, which is what it's not have. And then does some other changes. On the upgrade, the facelift model of this Audi R8, they changed to circular exhaust as opposed to these almost rectangular ones. But as this is 26, I have 17, sorry. Of course, it does have the rectangular exhaust. 2018, actually, I was wrong again there. But a very nice car. It's pretty cool. And bless me. There are a lot of different features in this car that I find quite interesting and really do enjoy. Okay. Going back to the front page, ironically, another car has popped up that I have some fun facts about. So, the 2019 Porsche 911 GT3 RS Weissach pack. Now, what does a Weissach pack mean? The Weissach pack is a racetrack, and the Weissach package makes the car lighter and a little more aerodynamic. So this front hood is carbon fiber, which you have to have the Weissach pack to have that. Along with that is quite an aggressive front fascia with a front splitter to help push the car down. Now the way this works is air flows over the car, it gets caught on this. As it gets caught on this, it can't go underneath, but it wants to. So it pushes the front of the car down to get more grip. And more grip means you can corner faster. That's the same reason that this wing is here, but the wing is shaped opposite to like a plane wing. The plane wing wants to give you lift. This wing wants to give you downforce. Wants to push the rear of the car down and have better aerodynamics to give you better cornering. Now, this color I believe is it lizard green? It's lizard green, yeah. Now, lizard green is one of multiple special colors you can get. Porsche has a whole division called PTS, and am I right by that? Yes, made to sample. And so you can have whatever color you want of Porsche, and they have a whole list of preset ones. You don't just get a custom color, but this is one of the launch colors on this car. The previous version of this, the 991.1, this is a 991.2, but the 991.1, which refers to the generation of the Porsche, launched in a ultraviolet purple, which was a very unique color, and one that I thought was really cool. But anyways, going through this car, another little interesting feature of this car, as you can see, that little emblem there, the Porsche emblem, is not an actual emblem. It is a sticker, and they do that to save weight. I know it does save weight, but it's such a small little feature. Just goes to the extremes that they try to push the car to have as little weight as possible. They should just have an emblem. I mean, everybody knows they should have, but it's a good selling point, a rather interesting feature, including the fact that Porsche actually built tank engines during the 1940s. But anyways, all that aside, we've gotten pretty much through this car. It's a funky cup holder. I hope you're really sleepy, guys. Let's go ahead and find another car to look at. Man, I can't even make it past the front page. So, here we have a 2020 Lamborghini Urus. Now, I have not actually seen one with the blue leather interior. That's a rather unique interior. But you might see that these two screens are positioned the way one directly with the other. Now, while they have a different UI, user interface, compared to Audi's, I did mention earlier that that Audi R8 is very similar to Lamborghini Huracan, since Audi owns the Lamborghini group. Now, this Lamborghini Urus is based off the Audi Q8 platform. The Audi Q8 platform is also shared with the Porsche Cayenne. match. It has some different styling. The body's different. So that's enough for people to spend extra on this car. Even if they could get a nearly identical performance one for much less expensive, they want the Lamborghini badge, and that's why they're so popular. This car, the Lamborghini Urus, was one of the first SUVs from a major supercar manufacturer, and was the best-selling Lamborghini to my knowledge of all time. So they had very, very good success with that car. So, finally moving on, we can go down here to the Mercedes SLS AMG for 2011. I have a lot of interesting facts about this. So, the design of this car is based off the late 50s, early 60s Mercedes 300 SL. Now, what's really interesting about the 300 SL is that it had these gull wing doors. Now, as you can probably tell by the doors on this car, they look like gull wings. They're placed up and out to the side here like that. And the doors go straight up without hinging at all part of the way through. There's only one hinge. And so, ironically, it's really easy to get out of tight spaces because the doors need almost no outward movement to fully open to allow you to get out. And this car actually is still similar to MSRP. They've gone a bit up. They used to be down to about 110,000, 120,000 in the late 2010s. And have started appreciating. They did make a limited run performance version of this. This is already a performance car, but like a track version called the SLS AMG Black Series. Black Series being their moniker for these extra high performance cars. And the Black Series had a bit of a more powerful engine, different body panels, more downforce, the usual stuff that track version cars get. And that car has gone all the way up to over $1 million, basically, for quite a few of them. So, very good investment, and while the normal SLS hasn't appreciated to the same level that the Black Series has, it's still very valuable, and definitely starting to become a collector's car as time has progressed. Sorry to say, side note, I have seen an original 300 SL Gullwing when I was in Monterey in 2018 for Car Week. I actually went to a Subway with my mom to get some food, and just sitting outside across the street park there was a 300 Gullwing. It was a super cool car. I've never seen one since, or prior. That's the only one I've ever seen, and it was awesome. I miss this car. We can talk about this car. So this is a almost brand new 2025 Corvette Z06 convertible 3LC. Now, as much as there's a bunch of random numbers in here, I can explain it. The Z06 is the moniker for the performance version of the normal Corvette. This is not a Corvette Stingray, it's a Corvette Z06. They are completely different as far as performance and price. The body is similar, but not identical, just similar. And the Z06 has a completely different engine. There is a Z07, which this one, I believe, has actually. I'll see. You know, it might not be the upgraded Z07. Carbon air package. Okay, so I am not perfectly knowledgeable about if this has the Z07 package. No, it absolutely does. Absolutely does. These front canards here, this very large rear wing, the extra large front splitter, means it is a Z07. Now you might ask, if it's Z06, where's Z07? What's the difference? Z07 is a track-ready pack for the Z06. In woman terms, a normal Corvette is a black coffee. A Corvette Z06 is a latte. There's more to it, fancier. A Corvette Z07 is a latte with special foam and extra like caramel drizzle. Like it's just a little bit better again. And that's what this car is. This is a hardtop convertible, so you press one button and the top retracts. My stepdad's friend actually has one of these cars. He No, he still has. It does not have the CO7 package like this car does, but it is a hardtop convertible. Now, the really cool thing about this car, and the way that you can tell it from a normal Corvette, are these 4 central exhausts, as opposed to 2 split to either side like the normal one. The normal Corvette also does not have as aggressive of a front lip, and it does not have this bit here that goes down and around the how do I explain? The intake. See how there's a streak on the intake that goes back towards the rear of the car? That bit is not on the normal Corvette. The normal Corvette has smooth body panels. This has a more aggressive cut into it to show where that intake is. Right there. This is what I'm talking about right there. So, very cool car. And the inspiration for this car was actually a Ferrari 458. The Ferrari 458 actually got bought by GM, not the car design, but a Ferrari 458 was bought by General Motors and was used as a test car to help inspire this car, which is actually shown in the flat plane crank V8 that this car has, which is the highest horsepower naturally aspirated V8 ever produced. Naturally aspirated means that the car gets all of its power just from the engine. It has no turbo. It has no supercharger. A turbocharger and supercharger are what's called forced induction. What that means is, imagine you have like a breather on that pushes air into your lungs, like a respirator, not a respirator, a ventilator, and it gives you more oxygen to produce more power. This car has none of that. It is pure naturally aspirated, and that gives a flatter power curve, meaning that the power comes on better low and doesn't have a spike part the way there's more linear. It's a straight line basically. And a flat plane crank means that instead of a normal V8 can fire like this, boom, 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 like that. A flat plane crank is boom, 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 boom. It has a more even firing of the cylinders. And instead of doing like the glug, 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 it has a more flat exhaust note, which is really unique to hear. And it's more inherent to supercars as opposed to muscle cars. And this very much sounds like those old Ferrari 458 and 458 Speciales. It has that unique flat plane crank sound, which makes it a really cool car. It's a very cool car. When it came out, they were selling way over MSRP, but the MSRP of this car is probably down to, MSRP is probably about maybe 140, 150, and with 2 days left, it's at 100, so they've come down a lot, and they're much closer to MSRP, to even under MSRP nowadays. Okay, let's find some more interesting cars. Okay, so this one's a quick story on this. The BMW M3 of 2013 has a big V8 in it, almost like an American muscle car. Now, when this car came out, people loved it. Jeremy Clarkson of Top Gear praised it for how fun it was to drive, and it's really been one of those cars where everybody loves it. Now, when the sequel to this car came out, a BMW F80 M4, I might be mistaken with the F80 part of it. I might be an F82, I think it's F82. It went back to an inline 6. You might say, what do you mean back to an inline 6? All of the M3s prior to this one had an inline 6. So when this car came out to the V8, everybody thought it was, oh, it's awesome, it has a V8, people loved it. But they immediately went back to the inline 6, and people got mad saying, oh, it's not a BMW M3, you should go with this. And it's actually shown in the resale market because these V8 BMW M3s are actually going for about the same price now as the F82 newer ones from like 2015 that have the inline 6s. I'm still rather surprised though about how inexpensive this car is currently. I know there's a full day left on the bidding, but man, for $9,000, I don't think you could really beat that value for the car you're getting. Okay, so this one's interesting. I is not about this brand new 2025 one, but it still has relevancy here. So, the Subaru BRZ, the Toyota GT86, and the Scion FRS came out, I believe, in the early to mid 2010s. And the thing that was so strange and unique about the BRZ, GT86, and Scion FRS, they were all the exact same car, basically. You might say, what do you mean, basically? Same body, same engine. Everything was produced the exact same. They had different badging, they had very minor tweaks between the cars, but they were all produced by the same factory, and they were for 3 separate brands. So you could go out and buy a Toyota GT86 and a Subaru BRZ, and they're just the same car. It's just whatever brand you want to go with. And I still don't quite know why they did that. I mean, they're essentially competing with themselves. But it's just something they did. Maybe it was just something where you go to a dealer lot looking for an SUV, and you see this fun little car, and you go, yo, that's what I want. So maybe that's why they had it. I still don't fully understand the idea behind doing that, but it's been a very successful car. People love to have these cars, and they're not the most powerful, but they're still fun, and I think that's a lot of the appeal behind it. Okay, this one holds an interesting place in my heart, and there's a story behind it for me. This car is awesome. Now, essentially, this is what's called a hairdresser car. It's supposed to be like a woman's car. It's a small car. It's not a big one, and that's true. But they shoved a big-ass V8 into this car, a 5.4-liter V8 into this car, and it's awesome. Look at this thing. It is gorgeous. The quad exhaust, the hardtop convertible on it, the interior on this car specifically looks really nice, and it has the AMG brakes. This car is gorgeous. Now, why does this car hold such an interesting spot in my heart personally? So, okay, first off, I might be thinking about this car a little bit because this thing's awesome. Oh my god, look at that interior, it's actually gorgeous. I might be thinking about buying this car. This thing's awesome. This thing is absolutely awesome. Okay, sidetrack. So, right here, this, like, front nose to the car, where it curves down and goes around, is very reminiscent of the Mercedes SLR. It took me a second to think about it because I'm so distracted by how awesome this car is. But the SLR, it's actually called the Mercedes McLaren. You might think, okay, well, why is McLaren thrown in there? Before McLaren had started their own official car brand, they did make the McLaren F1. Before they came out with the MP412C, they helped Mercedes make the Mercedes McLaren SLR. And it had the same front nose design with the sharp point, but even more pronounced than the SLR, more aggressive. But basically what happened was Mercedes wanted to help make a performance car. And when they came out with that car, it was not a hit. They struggled to sell it. It was a big problem. But it's such an awesome car. The price for those cars has finally started reflected. As in the last 10 years, they've gone from $175,000 up to $300,000. And this design is shared with that car along with the big V8 in it. Makes it just a really awesome car. And a fun fact about the SLR, not this one, but the SLR, if you need to replace just the hood, because it's a very large one-piece clamshell, meaning the entire hood comes off in one part, forward and up, it's $75,000 to officially replace that front hood. So very expensive, but this is an absolutely gorgeous car. The interior looks in fantastic condition. I might need to keep an eye on this car. I can't afford to get a second car, but that's just really cool. I didn't even know these are going for as low as they were, because this thing is really, it's actually very similar to a car that I own, the 2001 Porsche Boxster. Now, the rims are a larger, same design version of what I have. The seats are the exact same. The center console's the exact same. They reuse so many parts from the 911 in the Boxster that I own to save on money that even the seats in my car have back pockets, and it's a two-seater. There's none of these back seats. So essentially what they did was try to reuse as many parts as they possibly could to save money and produce kind of 1.5 cars for the price of one. And they definitely did it. The front face shell of this car is very similar to mine, but of course this is rear engine opposed to mid-engine. This is a coupe instead of a convertible. But this car is critically disclaimed because of these fried egg headlights. Now these ones have the xenon headlights, I believe, so this part is not yellow. This part right here is not orange like the blinkers, but in my car, this whole section here, this corner, the light is orange, and people say it looks like a fried egg. So that's where that kind of story comes from. But Porsche was really struggling there, and they even struggled with some of the developments. The fact that it says IMS bearing upgraded means that there's some IMS bearings in the engine, and these cars are known to essentially nuke their own engine with bad IMS bearings. Now, it's only about between a 1 to 8% chance of that happening, but it's so notorious for that Porsche really struggled with reputations, and that's why a lot of those really early cars have gone down so much in value, because of people just worrying about that. I see 2 cars I already want to talk about, but we're going to skip to this one. So this is a 2004 Acura NSX T. I don't know what the T stands for. It might be a T-spec, similar to how a couple other Asian companies say, Japanese companies, but I don't know. But a unique fact about this car is that they brought back the Acura NSX in the late 2010s, mid-2010s, because I specifically have a memory of talking to my dad about a prototype Acura NSX that had been leaked when I was walking down my driveway when I lived in Oregon, when I was in the first year of high school. Also, going to talk to him about the McLaren 570S, which was their entry-level McLaren that had not yet come out, but I was comparing the two in my mind because they were very similar prices, and they actually ended up being very similar prices. But I'd absolutely go with the McLaren, even though the new Acura is cool, which is not a McLaren. Now, a small fact about this, a couple interesting ones. As is an early 2000s one, it does not have the pop-up headlights. It has these kind of bubble headlights almost, which is just, which one do you prefer? I think the pop headlights are cool. I think these bubble headlights look good. I don't think there's a huge difference between them. The interior are blue leather. I assume this is original, and I have not seen one like this. It's actually really cool. But this car came out in the late 90s. Not this exact one, it's 2004, but the original NSX came out in the late 90s. And at the time, it was competing with the Ferrari F355, and it was faster, 0 to 60, than the Ferrari F355. So it was kind of touted as like the supercar killer at the time. And ironically, it's now more expensive than a Ferrari F355. But in Europe and Japan, this was actually the Honda NSX, as Honda owns Acura. I guess they thought Acura was a more premium brand in the US, which I guess technically it is. So they produced this as the Acura NSX as opposed to the Honda NSX like they did in Europe and Japan. Now, this car holds a special place in somebody else's heart. Jeremy Clarkson, one of the producers of Top Gear, actually was reviewing a Porsche 928, and I think it was his father, was dying in a hospital, and they said, you need to come here quick because he's dying. He's not going to last longer. And Jeremy Clarkson I guess he was making a chicken for something, I don't know the exact story, but he had a hot chicken. He put it in the car and he raced over, and he said the car was so fast at the time was able to make it there and the chicken was still warm to give to his dad, and that if he didn't have the Porsche 928 that he wouldn't have made it in time, and his dad would have died before he got there. And while this car is not fast by today's standards, that's definitely like a story that, I stuck in my mind, to where you need something that's quick to be able to get places when it's important. An example personally is my mom got bit by a rattlesnake, and we live in a spot where it would take the ambulance significantly longer to get up here and down than it would be for me to just drive down. And especially with the ambulances not carrying anti-venom here, that we got in the car and we had a not super fast but a fast enough SUV, and I was able to just race down there. And there are times where you need a fast car to be able to make a difference. Okay, Super Sam Bar. God, this thing's only $4,600. This thing's sick. So, when I was in Japan, I've been in Japan twice, there are so many of these small K-trucks. Now, a lot of the K-trucks they have, they're actually newer nowadays, it seems, at least from what I saw. But almost every car is a K-car when you're outside of the main cities. When you're in Tokyo and you're in Osaka, a lot of those cars are actually full-size cars. I even saw some cool supercars when I was in Tokyo. Ferrari 812 Super, or 812 GTS, Bentley Continental GT, McLarens, Ferraris, everything you can think of. Bunch of cool cars. But there weren't too many small cars in Tokyo and stuff. I guess because maybe it's an expensive place to live. You either have an expensive car or you don't have any car, because you take public transport because it's so good. Regardless, these K-trucks and K-cars were put in place for Japan to sell more cars domestically as opposed to importing cars. And so there was like a reduced tax implement for these cars. They have to have a very small engine, very small amount of power, but they do their job efficiently. There's some really cool ones, and I was over there. I saw like little tiny minivans, like 13-inch rims, but had enough space that you could put fishing equipment in there, or boxes, or anyways, they were really cool. Okay, now going down a little bit further. Okay, I could do this car, but we're gonna be on our last car here for now. So I am going to talk about this car right here. Now, I have not actually seen what this color interior. That's a pretty awesome interior. I don't know if that has to be like a special sample one, because I have not seen this before, and I see quite a few of these. But this car came out in the early 2020s, I believe. And at the time, it was the most powerful Audi that had ever been produced. It's only 522 horsepower, but there is a boost mode that ups it to, I believe it's like 600. And, oh no, not this one, sorry. This is normal Audi e-tron GT, not the RS GT. The RS GT was the most powerful Audi that had ever been produced. This was a still powerful one, but did not hold the extra power and extra premium that the RS GT did. Now, this car's depreciated like a sinking rock. The fact that this car was probably $110,000 new in the matter of 4 years is currently at $36,000. Probably gonna sell for maybe $45,000 to $50,000, be my guess. But a really, really cool interior. I'll admit, I love the wood. I love the kind of blue and dark gray, and I think it's just a really, really cool car. One that I think people would really enjoy driving around. It looks comfy, it looks fast, looks sleek, and I think it's really cool. So they've actually also made a very new version which has like 850 horsepower, I think 830 maybe, and it's once again most powerful Audi that's ever been produced, and it's kind of based off the Taycan platform, which is shared with this. Porsche has a electric sedan, which is shared with the platform with Audi, because once again they both kind of share stuff together. They are owned by the same parent company, which is Volkswagen, but technically Porsche owns more Volkswagen than Volkswagen owns of themselves. It's a really confusing mix. But regardless, very cool car. I think it's a really unique one, and one that, while it's depreciated a lot, it's a good deal now. So, with all that done, we definitely have a lot more cars to look through, including right there, my generation Porsche Boxster. We gotta see some stuff about that. But we're gonna need to save this for next time. So I hope you enjoyed the ASMR, the whispering ASMR, and I'll see you next time.